Let's take a look at the Stanley TRE650 electric nail gun. The first thing I want to look at is the case. I've had this nail gun now for about a year, and I've been very pleased with the quality of the case. The hinges here are made out of plastic, but they've held up well. The latches are doing well, and of course not only can you lay it down, but you can also stand it up. So depending on how you like to store, I like to store mine in this vertical position like this, so I have more space on my shelving. So let's open it up. Two very good latches here. And then let's take a look. You can see the latches up there in the case, so it's molded. And then a closer look at the hinges right there. It does barely have enough space for the electrical cord. I haven't found a nice way to get it in there, so many times I'm having to pack it in there tight to get it to fit, but it does fit. And then there's room underneath the handle. You can see I put my 1-inch nails down there. So overall, a pretty good case. One of the things I did do is from the retail packaging is I cut the section off that holds that displays the type of nail. So I'm going to leave it right there for a second so you can pause. It does 5/8, 3/4, and 1 inch. I've only used the 1-inch nails in this device, and I've been very pleased with it. Okay? As with any power tool, make sure you read, understand, and apply all the operational and safety instructions that come with your power tool, especially the TRE650. I do want to talk about power for a moment. You notice this is a very heavy-duty line coming out of the nail gun itself. What you don't want to do is plug it into one of these little simple household extension cords that you might want to use for a lamp. I've done that by mistake, and it really significantly reduces the power of this device. So you want to get to something more like this, more of a heavier gauge, 16 gauge or better. So maybe a 14 or even a 12 gauge if you have it. And the shorter the electrical line, the better. Then you're going to find you get much better performance out of this nail gun because it's electrical, it's not pneumatic. Let's look at the controls. Of course, this is your on-off switch right here. Okay? And then you have this knob right here that controls the amount of power that the device puts behind your nail. Now, why do you want that? Well, if you're going into harder wood, you want to turn this so it's stronger so that you can countersink all of it. If you're going into something softer, you may find that it'll actually go too deep and you might damage or put a large dent in your wood that you really don't want. So you want to use this control and try it out on some sample or scrap wood before you get started. Next, let's look at how you load your nails into your nailer. So this little button right here, you press down, slide it back, and then you want to take your nails or brads, whichever you're using, and you want to flush them up against this edge and then bring it all the way up to here. From there, you want to take this button again, push it down, and then slide this back. You're going to make sure that's all the way down. See how that started to jam on me? Make sure that's flush. And then you can put it up here and release. Make sure that's snug. Now you notice in this window you can see how many brads that you have left. That's how you can tell. Before you begin using the nailer, you might want to take this little guy off. Okay? That's a form of protection for this plunger right here. Because if this is not plunged down, it's not going to shoot correctly. So keep that on until you're using it, and then when you're ready to use the gun, take this off. Always make sure that number one, you're unplugged as I am here, and you're turned off before you before you add or remove nails from your nail gun. Now as you can see, I've got this plugged into a heavier gauge wire so that I've got a good power. I've turned this on, and I've also turned the power all the way up for the demo that I'm doing, and I'm using 1-inch brads or 1-inch nails in here. Okay? So let's do a number of different types of wood and see how it does. This happens to be scrap from some fencing that I picked up. So I'm going to press this down, and you notice I'm going to hold this, and then I'm going to shoot it. This is just about flush, and then as you can see there, the nail came all the way through. So if I wanted to nail this into a 2x4, something like that, it'd be easy to do. So this is relatively soft wood and it penetrated rather easily. Okay. If I do the same thing with a 2x4, press it down, that is perfectly flush. Okay. I also have a piece of pressure treat left over, and this is just about 1 inch thick. So let's try this one. Moderate pressure. And right there, that's flush. It doesn't quite come through here. Okay. Some softer wood. This is a little piece of furring strip. I'm just going to hold this down like this. And as you can see, when I don't hold it down, as you can see right there, there's a little bit of ricochet, and it doesn't go all the way through. And then on the back side, you can see it penetrate. So what happens when I put my hand behind it, moderate pressure? Now what I have is a flush nail, and then as you can see right there, it's come all the way through. So big difference when you hold it down. That's what this is for, is to hold this down correctly. A slightly harder piece of wood. I don't know what kind this is, but let's take a look. And that one didn't quite go through. Let's try that again. That one's not quite flush. So on a harder piece of wood, you can see here that it didn't go all the way through. So you may have to countersink this with a punch. Let's take a look at some medium density fiber board here. See what it does. Hold it down. And on that one, you can see this is up a little bit. It did penetrate the other side. So I'm going to hold it down a little bit tighter this time. Still the same thing. So this medium density fiber board, you're seeing that it's not quite penetrating through. So there's about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch of that brad or that nail not quite penetrating through. So depending on the type of project that you have, depending on the wood that you're going to be using, will determine whether this is really a good tool for your nut or whether you're going to have to countersink this with some kind of punch. I also want to point out that sometimes you're going to get some jamming, which means you'll have to work on these right here to take this head off. And for that, they put a little Allen wrench for you right there. So I hope this video gives you some ideas on where this fits into your power tool strategy. I found it useful. Where I like to use this is when I'm working on softer wood and I have to glue something together and I don't want to keep it clamped. Then I can take this and nail it together right quick after I apply the glue, and then I'm not worried about clamping. It's going to keep it in place. So again, I hope this helps you out. If you like this, if you found this video useful, please press like, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel. And as always, good luck on your projects.